All right, let's continue the reactions now, and we speak to the ANC's first Deputy Secretary General, Nomvula Mokonyane, who joins us via the virtual platform tonight. And a very good evening to you. A set time for the African National Congress as part of the senior leadership. When I say senior leadership, the top 7 of the ANC. This must have come as a shock?
Firstly, let me convey my sincere condolences to the wife of Comrade David Mabuza, his children and his grandchildren, the entire Mabuza family, those that he loved dearly, the members of the ANC and the people of South Africa that he has served. It came as a shock. It was unexpected. And was at a time when we have an unfinished business with Comrade Didi, where we had a conversation earlier this year to prepare for the coming local government elections, that he will be of assistance and support to the ANC and provide us with his own time, whilst he had taken a decision that he wants to spend most of the time with his family and attend to his health, just as we saw him in the last national and provincial elections. And secondly, that he would also be available to assist us with the infrastructure and equipment that the ANC requires.
Yeah.
And the agreement was, Sisi, you must come back to the farm. We need to look at what is there. And I need to give you the people who are managing this so that we can then start making the preparations through the refurbishment, servicing, rebranding, and ensure that this is for the good of the African National Congress and accessible to every area where the ANC wants to utilize those resources.
Yeah.
And then, of course, typical of him, laughing and talking about many other things. But the bottom line, reassuring that things will be better in terms of his life and in terms of the ANC.
Yeah.
Didi passed on being a very loyal member of the ANC.
We're going to come back on the deeper meaning of what you say was unfinished business with David Mabuza. But before we get there, I'd like for you to talk to us about what you think is the shining and perhaps everlasting moment in the life of the ANC politics for David Mabuza, and indeed him at a national level now. What do you think that lasting legacy is going to be?
The lasting legacy is when there was confusion, disinformation, peddling of lies, that people like David Mabuza, Nomvula Mokonyane are leaving and are joining Jacob Zuma. It was a critical moment for the ANC. And unfortunately, there was a lot of mistrust and disinformation in the organization, to an extent where people concluded, in some instances, people will even talk in low tones in your presence. And Didi resisted even the invitation to join MK. Didi affirmed the need to renew the ANC and remain loyal to the African National Congress. That, for me, was a sign of patriotism, because he understood that you belong to the ANC to serve the people of South Africa.
Yeah.
And that all other things that happen within the ANC are not as critical as the responsibility you have to keep the ANC alive, for it to become a vehicle to build a better and a new South Africa.
Yeah.
That, for me, was a very interesting moment, sitting with him in his farm, talking to him and listening to him and him laughing and him availing himself and agreeing on a program to be deployed and working for the ANC when others had actually, even within the organization, doubted that David Mabuza can be back to serve the ANC.
Yeah.
It was not his position in the ANC. It was his commitment to the program of the ANC that made me to respect Udidi and to say he has remained loyal to the ANC and the people of South Africa until the last minute. And for that, we are quite grateful.
Let's conclude the conversation on this score. And I go back to what you said, the unfinished business. I want to layer that and perhaps bring into the conversation what someone said was a display of maturity by David Mabuza when he completely outsmarted everyone. It's the very period you're referring to when you say it was a period of lies, saying that you were in one or other faction in the lead up to that crucial 2017 conference. And isn't it interesting tonight how time perhaps heals all? Ace Magashule speaks as a man who does not hold grudges, who says this was politics, and David Mabuza clearly outsmarted us to a point where I remind him that when they were beaten at that conference, he remarked and said, "It's only 5 years, comrades," and he laughs out loud. Isn't that a moment to relish, particularly in the politics of the ANC? Do you think that that perhaps is going to be the everlasting moment?
Not for me, because even those that were contesting, including Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, remain loyal members of the ANC. The distinction of the two comrades is that both of them, whether they have lost the vote, the election in an ANC conference, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma remained loyal and is still serving under the leadership of President Cyril Ramaphosa. It was an internal party democracy that was exercised by Comrade Titi. It was also her democratic right to Nkosazana to stand. And after that, he served the organization. He served under the leadership of President Ramaphosa. She worked with Comrade David Mabuza. And Titi passes on with no love lost amongst the three of them. And today, what we must not look at is the rich internal dynamics of the ANC against the loyalty of Comrade Titi. That I am saying, at a time when everybody thought he could actually break rank, he was demonized, he refused and he remained a patriot, and he availed his time and energy to serve the African National Congress. I was one of those few people, myself and Comrade Fikile Mbalula then, who met Titi after that conference, a day after the results. And that's why I can still relate and appreciate Comrade Titi Mabuza, who must be remembered about a time when there was more serious tensions in the organization going to the 2024 elections, when others that were associated with him opted to move out of the African National Congress and others casting aspersions. Titi remained loyal to the ANC and remained a true patriot. My own plea is that, Bushoniwe manje, let's give the family the space. Surely the president will make an announcement because the former deputy president of the country. And let's give the ANC the space also to celebrate the man and not have any interpretations of internal practices of the ANC as the only way to remember Titi. He must be remembered as a true patriot, a loyal member who, beyond leadership positions, continued to serve the ANC and was ready to assist us going into the coming local government elections.
Very interesting take indeed. And just so I don't misinterpret you, I want to quickly move on. But just before I let you go, can I simplify what you've just said? You're saying that David Mabuza showed loyalty to the ANC and was not what in ANC conferences is often referred to as a member of a member. Is that, in essence, what you are saying?
David Mabuza exercised his democratic right within the organization. And that exercise, that action, never made David Mabuza, even when he declined, because Xoli, you must finish the story of how David Mabuza conducted himself in the ANC. He became the deputy president in 2017. There was 2022. 2022, David Mabuza declined in front of the world when his name was nominated. And he moved on supporting those that were in office. That's why we must actually complete the narrative and not be selective. And be able to help the ANC to renew and make members of the ANC to learn from members such as David Mabuza that it is not the position, it is not the responsibility in public office. It is the mission of the ANC that must keep you committed to the African National Congress, even when you are out of public office.
Thank you very much for your time.